Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and we have a wonderful guest coming on the show today, Chloë Bisson, also known as the Automation Queen. Chloë has become a really good friend of mine. We also media partners and collaborate together on lots of business projects as well. So I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with her. I want to give us an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewelry at craigshelley.com. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram TV, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're also streaming through mspnewsglobal.com, and we're also on E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, live on Android TV, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and many, many more. So let's bring our guest into the broadcast. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, Chloë.
Hi, Mark. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you today. So I would like to talk a little bit about your background, Chloë, because we see the success that you have created and the success that you're creating for your clients with female entrepreneurs that you focus on, and a lot of automation as well, which I'm really interested to learn more about. Can we go back a little bit about some of the obstacles you've faced, the background you have come from that has led you to do what you do today?
Yeah, sure. So exactly as you said, everyone has a story. Everyone has usually had a moment which has triggered them to take a big leap. And it's exactly what happened to me. My background previously was actually in finance and accounting in my previous life, as I like to call it. And I actually experienced a really severe depression and burnout. And I was really, really successful in the industry. I was 24 years old, director of a global organization. And I completely crashed. I found myself, as much as I was enjoying the job, the thriving, the pushing, I found that it just wasn't working for me mentally, and I wasn't being true to myself. Completely crashed, lost myself, totally in denial about the whole depression thing. And how can I possibly have depression? I'm a really happy person and all this sort of stuff. And I went on a journey there and then to really find myself and discover what my calling was and what triggered this thing that was going on in my brain that I didn't understand. And cut a long story short, when I went back into the finance world and back into my job, I basically found out they didn't need me anymore. And within a couple of weeks, my job was gone. I finally felt like I was feeling better, but I just lost myself. Suddenly, my identity didn't exist. The thing I knew for so long had vanished. And so my journey of entrepreneurship began. I'll be honest, the doctors advised me against it. The doctors and the psychologists and counselors were saying, no, why don't you just stay on benefits for a little while, accept that maybe you just have to have a simpler job going forward. And I was 24. I was like, I'm not ready to give this up yet. Am I going to quote unquote write my life off just because of that? And so decided to start my own business. Had no real vision, no real dream, no real strategy, just a passion. And I noticed there was a huge stigma associated to women starting their own businesses, having this freedom, having this, we should be following the normal route. And I just decided to challenge all of that and started my business, went through, as we're going to discuss, no doubt, a lot of obstacles and challenges. And I went on a journey to really build up myself purely with one goal, to have some stability and control over my own life, because I'd lost stability and control of my mind. So I wasn't going to do it again. And I started my own business, and similar to what we're going to talk about with the automation side, I really decided that I wanted to build something online with automation so that I didn't take up all of my time. I decided it was time for me to be able to actually start building a business where I didn't have to be there all the time, or at least some of the more boring manual stuff could be done behind the scenes. And so I focused on that, and I managed to build up my business now so that I've got quite a big team. I run events all over the world, and often, other than being on the stage and being the speaking and doing things like this that I love, the business operates pretty much without me. And that's the experience I've had to date.
So from a past of being depressed, which I have been through as well, at around similar ages as you, I was also a drug addict, but from a past of having depression, I also had stress, anxiety. You then went back to a job after you had recovered a little bit to find out that you have lost that job. So it's a really brave step. And there will be lots of people out there, Chloë, watching at the moment who are going through these challenges because jobs, people losing businesses is at an all-time high because of the pandemic. So I would just like to ask you, what are some of the rituals that you do that help you with staying healthy mind and positive as well, because mental health is a big thing, especially through these testing times. And I know there are certain practices and routines that will help people to come through that a little bit.
Yeah, and Mark, I'm so glad you said that, because exactly with everything going on in the world right now, as individuals, we've completely lost all certainty. The last 18 months, so many of us, the stability we had, the jobs we had, the work we had, the life we had just was taken away. So the instability side of things, I think mental health is really important to focus on keeping it positive. The biggest tip I would say, it's a couple of routines, but the one thought that I always focus on no matter what happens is that you always have a choice. So often when we are depressed or we have anxiety, it's because we feel like we can't control something. We get anxious thoughts because we're trying to control too much. And depression is often a numbness because everything just feels too much, or we don't feel anything. And in both situations, often, and many other mental illnesses as well, we feel like we haven't got a choice. We're stuck with this illness. We're stuck with this situation. We're stuck with these people. We're stuck with this job. A lot of people say to me, but I can't leave my job because of this. I can't leave my partner because of this. What I would say to anyone watching or listening is that you always have a choice. And when you feel that and you allow yourself to accept that, there's no way you cannot be in control of what's going on in your world. You might not be able to quit your job or leave your partner or any other stuff that you want to do, but you'll always have control over how you live and breathe. And I think the minute we believe that and we feel that, there is a shift of the way we look at things. I'd say that's the first part. After that, there's lots of little tools you can use. For me, the biggest one is journaling. Apps. I was never one for apps in terms of meditation and things. I love that people can do that. But for me, journaling really helps me with my mindset, and also keeping active. Because whenever we're feeling rubbish, the first thing we want to do is isolate ourselves and do nothing. I still remember when I was really depressed, the hardest thing I ever did was get out of bed. And I remember the first time I actually got out of bed and had a shower, I was so proud of myself, which to many people who've never experienced it, you won't be able to relate to it. But I can see you nodding, Mark. It can be a huge success when we've had that. And so the one thing I would say to keep your mental health, whether you're feeling low right now or you feel like you're on the brink of it, or just you're keeping going, keep active. Remember, there's always a choice. And if you can, let it out, journal it, talk to people. They're my 3 big tips for managing your mental state.
They're great tips, Chloë. Taking responsibility and knowing that you have a choice is very wise words. And like you mentioned, journaling works for you. I did journal for a while and I was advised to do it again, actually. But for me, I like doing gratitude, so I do lots of visualization, gratitude, meditation does work for me, but staying active. And like you mentioned, when you're depressed, it's so easy to spend hours in bed when you should be up. And it's important you get enough sleep, but you can also have too much sleep and that can take you under as well. So that's a really, really important point, Chloe. So tell us a little bit more about what you do now in business and how you serve your clients, Chloe.
Yeah, so my big passion, I realized, was helping women to feel that independence and that freedom in whatever way that looks like. And for most people, many people, they want the financial freedom. They want control over their own money without having to ask their partner or to show their loved ones and their children that they can be a role model. And so the way I do that is I help women to start their own businesses. And that can be a hobby, that can be a passion, it can be a side hustle, as the kids call it nowadays, or it can be a full-time business where you run it. It could be a property business, it could be a training business, a coaching business. It really doesn't matter as long as it lights you up. And that's what I've been doing now for the last coming on 5 years. I've been mentoring women on finding that freedom and being that independence. And it's been an incredible journey. We've done I started off teaching one-to-ones and working people on a one-to-one basis to help them to grow. And now we've gone on to having thousands of clients and running various clubs all over the world. So it's been quite a journey, but I'm forever inspired by the amount of women that I hear all day long saying they've always wanted to run their own business, but they had issues or beliefs or anything, and helping them break them has just been incredible.
Yes, and that's the thing. There's a lot of education out there, Chloe, and it's knowing who can support you. And it's hard when you are first going into entrepreneurship, knowing what systems are going to work, knowing what automation is good for your business. I think sometimes people don't see that there is a lot that goes into an online business. There's a lot of overheads, what people don't talk about a lot. People talk about the high figures, but you don't really talk a lot about there's a lot of overheads that come with that. There's a lot of technology that you either have to outsource. So it's great that you're holding the hands of these women that really need the support. And I am thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, it's needed more now than ever because a lot more female entrepreneurs are coming into the space with the way the pandemic has hit the market as well, Chloe.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit it right on the head, Mark. The number of female entrepreneurs in the world now has skyrocketed. Even just before COVID, the amount of online businesses was the highest it's ever been. And I think there was a shuffle at the beginning of the lockdown and everything we faced because people suddenly panicked. A lot of people froze. But then what happened, I noticed, is that a lot of women who were at home with their kids or at home with their loved ones, maybe furloughed, they decided to start hobbies. They would start sewing something, they'd start recording something, they'd start making different things. And then all of a sudden they'd start selling them. So actually a lot of businesses have been born through this. I've had a record number of clients who said to me, I was furloughed or I lost my job and I finally had the freedom to start my business. And it's a beautiful thing that's come out of this scenario. But you're absolutely right. When it comes to where to start, no one or before I came across it, no one will tell you need all of these systems and you need these people. And a lot of people will tell you the pros and the money they've made, make 7 figures in 7 days and you can start a business overnight and all this sort of rubbish. And I'm going to be real. To me, it is rubbish because I don't believe there's ever one person who succeeds on their own. There's so many moving parts to a business. And I think particularly as women, and I'm sure men experience this as well, but in our nature, we're so used to doing everything. We're so used to being the mum, being the sister, being the wife, being the this, being the cleaner, being the cook. And it's history, right? We have been multitasking. That there's an ongoing joke that women can multitask more than men. Like that there's loads of things that show that in history, our culture, we're used to it. But actually in business, a lot of women find they have to do the same thing. They start trying to be the marketer, the business owner, the accountant, the technical person. And we try and feel like we need to master everything to be successful. It's almost like no wonder so many businesses don't survive. But actually there's ways of doing it where you don't need to be the expert in everything. And the minute I realized this and I tapped into it, it was where I felt so much more comfortable. My business grew as a result as well. So there's lots of different pieces, but it's about knowing what pieces fit in the right place.
I agree totally. Now, I do want to talk more about automation and some tips there after the commercial break. But before we go to commercial break, Chloë, you have built a great club, Queens in Business membership. Can we just discuss what Queens in Business is all about and tell us a little bit more, please?
Yeah, sure. So Queens in Business is a community of women who there's 6 of us co-founded it. We decided that we'd all come together and work together to support women. Again, no one person knows everything. So the 6 of us brought our brains together and created the Queens in Business Club. And it's been running since the beginning of this year. We've now got over 70 members. It's actually closed at the minute because we're actually working with the members we've got right now. But it's all about focusing on giving women exactly the tools they need to learn about business, but also be in a community where they can ask the questions, have the support, and no holds barred conversations. And that's what we've been building up for the last couple of months to help women start and scale their businesses.
And community is the key word there, Chloë, because we're very virtual. We was before the pandemic, but it's the whole world has catched up with us now as well, Chloë. And at times it can be a lonely journey in entrepreneurship. So I'm part of clubs myself, and it is vital to have that kind of a support network when you are a solo entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, because you can get advice, you can share skills with each other, you can share problems that you're facing. And I think community is really, really important when you are growing online businesses as well. Do you agree with me there?
Absolutely. That even the smallest of things, like, what color do I put on this graphic? What do I want my branding to look like? Or, does this sound right? Things like that, where people are looking at, being in their own heads. Just sometimes people who read something or see something for the first time will spot something that you've been looking at for hours and days and you've never saw. So there's lots of things about having a community and having a sounding board of other people who are on the journey with you. So if you have those down days, they can pick you up, or if you're having a great day, they can celebrate with you. It's just a huge benefits.
I hear you. Chloë, we're going to go to a commercial break, so stay where you are. Join us after the commercial break. We're joined here with Chloë Bisson. She has shared how she went through a depression at the age of 24 to recover and then go back into her job to find out that she had lost her job. But that gave her a new path and direction to set up in business for herself and then to go on to help others to create success. Join us after the commercial break. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. Before the commercial break, Chloë shared her story of how she went through a depression aged 24, that going back to her workplace to find out that she had lost the job, but that gave her a new path that sent her on a new direction to set up in business for herself. She is now a best-selling author, speaker, and she is the automation queen, helping women in business to set up in their businesses and create success. Chloë, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Good to be back, Mark.
So you are the automation queen. Now, automation, Chloë, can be a little bit of a scary place. It's vital if you want to scale your business. Now, I know you're a perfectionist as well, Chloë, and I'm a perfectionist as well. And sometimes, like you mentioned before the commercial break, we try and do all sorts of jobs that we shouldn't really be doing because we know we are good at them. For example, I do a lot of my own social media still now. I have got VAs, I have got writers, I have got technical department, but still now I'm attached to social media a little bit because I'm scared to outsource it. But it's vital to scale our businesses. We need automation. So I really am looking forward to digging deep into this. My question would be, what automation have you found best for your own business to help you scale your business? And what do you think, just in general, for social media entrepreneurs, what do you think is the most vital that we automate to really help us to scale our businesses?
Yeah, brilliant question. And you're absolutely right. Automation, I'm going to put it out there, can be a very scary thing. People don't want to let go of control. And I think the key is to think about it. It's like building a house. You're never going to build the big mansion on day one. You know, you need to build the foundations, and then you add certain rooms and windows and doors, and it's a process. The key with any business, which I always say, no matter where you are, small, big, large, whatever, it's around where you're at now, and more importantly, where your time is best used. So to answer the short version, I would say that most business owners, the time is used delivering the service. That's where their highest value to the business is. So if you're a coach and you offer one-to-one coaching sessions, your time is best used doing those one-to-one coaching sessions, not writing a social media post or writing an email or booking calendar appointments, which all can be needed. So the first thing is to look at where your time should be spent, and then the missing piece is where shouldn't it be spent. That's where automation can come in. So the first thing I always say to people to automate is any administrative work. My biggest tip I always say to any business owner is automate before you delegate. Most people will delegate first. They'll trust the person over a system. But even things like booking calendar appointments, there are calendar booking software you can use where you share a link with someone and they book it in with you. That then automatically reminds them any emails. That is an automation. You don't have to do anything other than pretty much put your details in and your availability, and the system does the rest. Then if there's things that maybe a system can't do, only then would you look to then use a VA or an outsourcing agency or someone else that you can delegate to. So in terms of really good automations that almost any business can use to save time, as I said, any calendar management bookings. So whether that is booking a one-to-one coaching session or a meeting, if you can use apps like Calendly, Acuity, all of these sort of software you can use. Schedule Once is another one where you can actually book in meetings without having to be involved in the process. So that's a really good automation. And when I first started automating that, it was a lifesaver. I'd wake up in the morning, look at my diary, and my diary was booked, organized, people were getting their reminders. You can even add questionnaires in. So qualification things, so you know what they're coming to the call for. Anything like that, Mark, is just it's almost genius about when you get started with it.
I have to agree. And what I like about what you have shared there, Chloë, rather than outsourcing it to a VA, which then would be an income, you would have to pay the VA. Mm-hmm. You are about getting the tools that are automated, which I think I use the free version of Calendly, and I've got questionnaires on mine so that I qualify people into the call. But these things do really make life so much easier and so much more organized and more professional as well. You're showing up more professional, which is really, really important. You're way more automated than me, Chloe. I'll catch up with you one day, but they don't call you the automation queen for nothing. So Queens in Business, when women entrepreneur are coming to Queens in Business, when the doors open again, what kind of things are you working on with the entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so we've got some key core areas. So the first way we help our clients is we give them the education. One thing I found when I started my business, and I'm sure, Mark, you've been there, many people, you feel like you have to buy one course to learn one thing, and then you learn that, and then there's another course to learn something else, and then you learn another course to learn something else, and you're thinking, I spent thousands of pounds learning from 100 different experts, and I still have to now piece it all together myself. So the six of us have spent probably nearly £300,000 in mentorship and courses between the six of us, and so we decided that we should come together and teach what our expertise is. So the thing with the Queens in Business Club, which we do, is all our courses are online. You pay for the monthly membership and it's all included. If you want to do them all straight away, you can go for it. There's no holding back. And we teach everything from marketing. We have a branding expert. We have a writing expert. We have a speaking expert. I teach sales and online automation and sales. We have a wealth expert in terms of money management, how you manage your finances. And we have a health expert. And a lot of people say to me, but why does health come into it? But let me be honest, if you can't manage your health, your business won't survive for very long. And I can personally live by that. So we teach all those aspects. So whether that is how to do your social media, maybe you want to write a blog, emails, sales, anything like that, we teach everything we know in the club. So that's the first part. The second part, which to me is probably the most exciting part, is, as we talked about earlier, the community. We have weekly mentoring sessions that are included in the club for free. You don't have to pay anything extra, and you get access to all six of us. We alternate and we bring in guest experts, and that's there every single week. And it's really interesting because every time I talk to people about it, they're like, how much is it? It's so cheap, because you get access to all these experts every single week. And we do a Monday evening because we know how much sometimes Mondays can suck a little bit and how you might need a bit of a boost to get through it. And so we do all of that with the community. We have events, we have meetups, we do summits. We did a 2-day virtual summit recently, which went down so well. And it's all about education, but also creating that environment that you feel empowered and you've got the mentorship for such a low investment that you don't have to spend with so many different people, and just being part of a community of not just us as experts, but of fellow entrepreneurs that are actually on the journey with you and can share the golden nuggets that they've picked up on the journey as well.
It makes total sense. Like you have mentioned, we have spent thousands and thousands in mentorship programs, coaches, mentors, and the fact that there's six of you, there's going to be someone that you can go to whatever part of the journey you are on. And because it's a community, you've got that support of the community, friendships, collaborations. You may even pick up clients from the community as well if you have products or services to offer them. And six heads are better than one, Chloë. And I don't normally talk about money or investment, but you say it's cheap. What kind of figure are we talking to join a club like this?
It's less than £50 a month.
Well, to me, that is absolute no-brainer. Seriously, for that kind of guidance and support, I encourage all women entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, or if you're struggling a little bit, which is perfectly fine if you are, because everyone has struggled and we all struggle at some points in our entrepreneurship journeys. £50 a month to have this network of great entrepreneurs to support you, that is absolutely incredible. I was expecting it to be more, so that's really, really impressive, Chloë. So you are a best-selling author, determined and dangerous. Tell us all about this.
Yeah, so obviously, as we spoke about right at the beginning, when I had my depression, I really lost myself. And I knew when I was building my business, I really wanted to write a book. Writing is one of the skills I'm very fortunate to have. And I didn't know what to write it on. And then someone said to me, you need to share your story of depression. And one time I was on a stage, a very, very large event. It's like 500 women in the room. And I was supposed to speak about business. And I got up there and I just started talking about my depression. It just came out. I couldn't even switch it off if I tried. And so the reaction made me realize that I wanted to share that story. And so I wrote a book, which is called Determined and Dangerous. And it's all about not just me, but how myself and others have overcome life challenges, mental illnesses, and loads of other things, and actually come on to then build my business. So it's not just a self-help book, because when I was in those places, I couldn't stand those sort of books. But it's strategically written in a way that helps you overcome whatever you're facing and learn the steps that I took to actually build my own business. And it takes from the journey of having my depression right the way through to where I am now.
It's really important that we all share our struggles and our vulnerabilities. And like you mentioned, when you're speaking from the heart on the stage, things come out because you're speaking from the heart. So you will share your vulnerabilities. And I know that can be quite scary at first. I share my personal story of collapsing and dying, drug addiction, mental health. And even if you're shaking, I encourage everyone to share those vulnerabilities, because we're all the same. It's so easy to look at successful people and think that they are different to you, but we are truly all the same, and we all go through the same struggles. Chloë, I have really enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Firstly, is there anything we did not cover that you would like to share?
I don't think so. I think that the main thing I want to leave everyone with is just always follow your gut. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter what anyone else is saying. Your opinion and your thoughts are the only one that matters. Your gut, your instinct, your intuition is the one tool that no one can ever take away from you. And just follow that, follow your heart, and whatever you want is within your reach.
That is a brilliant way to close the show, Chloë. I was going to ask you to leave a word of wisdom next, but you have already done it. So thank you so much. We have a comment here, so let's quickly have a look at the comment. Great achievement, Chloë. Thank you, Claudine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Chloë, thank you so much for being on the Brilliance Business TV show. I've really enjoyed a conversation with you.
No problem, Mark. Thank you for having me and for everyone watching.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.